Now we're going to demonstrate how to use TradeMachine and to get the most out of it as quickly as possible. The goal is to build a portfolio of alerts, diversified not just by ticker, but by strategy. And it's in this process that we can identify times where short bursts of risk exposure have been profitable in the past. When you first log into TradeMachine, you'll see this screen. Daunting as it may seem, we can quickly make use of this software. First, we can go to the Pro Scan tab. Then we can go by strategy. Let's start by looking at the Dow 30. And let's look at one of our favorite strategies, Buy the Dip Technical. We tap on the button and the scan results load. We can sort the scan results by the number of wins by clicking on the column header. Now it's time to dive deeper into the results. We'll see 5 tickers here: ExxonMobil, Intel, Walmart, Cisco, and Nike. If we just tap on one of the tickers, the backtest tab will open and it will place ExxonMobil in the ticker, and the Buy the Dip technical settings have already been set. You'll notice that the Pro Scan tab is still open. And all we've done is move from this tab to this tab. We can add the 4 other tickers we were interested in by typing them in separated by a comma. Now we have all 5 of those tickers that we wanted to look at already loaded. And we can see the 3-year results are good for all of them, but we already knew that. What we want to decide is, are they good enough to set alerts for so we may act on them in the future? The first step is to look at not just how it's done over the last 3 years, but how they've done over the last 5 years. So we'll click the 5-year button. All 5 of these tickers look very good with the Buy the Dip trigger over the last 5 years. Let's take a look at the last year, which is our final step in deciding if we want to set alerts. Now we look over the last year and we see that Intel, in fact, has been a loser. So we will remove Intel from the list. And while we're at it, we might as well remove ExxonMobil, since it is a stock that tends to move on oil prices rather than anything else, and it might not be best usage for us as a trigger. Now we have 3 tickers left, which have worked over the last year, over the last 3 years, and the last 5 years. Now it's time for us to set the alerts. We'll click on the upper right-hand corner where we can add the alerts, and now the Alerts tab opens up. You'll note that the Backtest tab is still open, and the Pro Scan tab is still open. But now we are on the Alerts tab, moving across the top menu. You'll see that the tickers are already available, Walmart, Cisco, and Nike, that it's a technical alert type. The technicals are already programmed in for us. We can see them if we click on Set Technicals. We enter our email address, we enter our phone number, and maybe we enter ourselves a little note about the type of alert when we get it. In this case, we'll put Buy the Dip. Then we click Add Alert. We've now added 3 alerts for future use. It was that fast. Let's go back to the Pro Scan tab. You can also do this for companies in the NASDAQ 100, the S&P 500, or simply all tickers that are optionable. Let's go to one of our other favorite strategies. This time we will go to the NASDAQ 100, and we'll go to 7 days pre-long call technical. That is buying a call 7 days before earnings, and then exiting the position before earnings. This is not taking an earnings bet. We click on the button and sort by the number of wins again. And now we can take a look at some of the tickers that interest us the most. We'll click on a ticker, SNPS, and it will load the backtest. It also loads all of the settings for this backtest. If you click on Custom Earnings, you can see that this is in fact a backtest that checks opening a position 7 days before earnings and closing the position 1 day before earnings. There's also a technical requirement, which we can see if we click Technical Open. This trade only gets triggered if the stock price is above the 50-day moving average 7 days before earnings. We can now take a look at 4 other companies that interest us for this exact same pattern. From the Scanner tab, we could see that these 5 tickers, SNPS, ASML, Microsoft, Facebook, and Amazon, also had great results over the last 3 years. And we'll go through the same process to vet them. Now let's look at the last 5 years. These all look like very strong results. And now finally, let's check the last year. Again, all 5 of these tickers appear to be doing quite well over the last 5 years, 3 years, and 1 year. So we can go ahead and add all 5 of these as alerts. We'll click the Add Alerts button. All of the tickers are already loaded for us in the Alerts tab. This is a days before earnings with technicals alert. It's already selected for us. This is 7 days before earnings, already entered for us. The technical conditions are that the stock price is above the 50-day moving average. Again, this is already set for us. We enter our email address and our phone number, and we can even add a note for ourselves. in this case, pre-earnings momentum, 7 days before earnings, and we click Add Alert. We've now added 5 more alerts. Just in the last few minutes, we've added 8 alerts to our inventory of trades to take a look at later. We can go back to the Pro Scan tab and back to Buy Strategy. This is how to use TradeMachine, and we now point out some of the more popular scans that our user base uses. We looked at Buy the Dip Technical. There's also our bullish bursts and bearish bursts, which are strictly technical analysis driven. There are long technical strangles, sometimes called our volatility bursts. In our pre-earnings scans, the 3 days before earnings, 7 days before earnings, and 14 days before earnings have shown very strong momentum over the last 15 years, and it's a place in which you can find a wealth of alerts to set. For our post-earnings scans, the most popular tend to be the 1 month after earnings short put spread. If you like to trade ETFs or more complex ratio spreads, the technical ratio spread scan also has some interesting trades to look at. Finally, of course, having looked at all of these scan results, it's important to understand what the strategies actually do. That is where we go to the Discover tab. In the Discover tab, underneath the Frequently Asked Questions section, you will find a video explaining most of the triggers in the scanner. For example, here's a video on the Buy the Dip technical scan, how it's worked, why it's worked, and what the settings are. Here's a video on pre-earnings momentum with a technical safety valve. Here's a video on optimizing bullish technical analysis, what we called the bullish bursts, and equally a video on the bearish bursts. Scrolling further down, you'll find a video on the volatility bursts, what the scanner calls the technical long strangle scan. For all of the other strategies, you can scroll down to the FAQ called Scanner Strategy Details and tap on the link, and it will explain the remaining scans and what the purpose of each of those are. Now you're ready to use TradeMachine, so when you log in and first see this screen, you know exactly what to do. The goal is to build a portfolio of alerts, diversified not just by ticker, but by strategy. And it's in this process that we identify the times where short bursts of risk exposure have been profitable in the past. Many of our members have hundreds of alerts, some even have thousands of alerts. Please take the time to get to know TradeMachine so you too can be a profitable trader.